The ones who thought they could bury me never understood one truth. Seeds and chosen souls have something in common. When they are placed in darkness, they do not disappear. They transform. They thought silence would erase me. They thought betrayal would break me. They thought confusion would rewrite my story. They thought if enough dirt was thrown over my name, my purpose would suffocate beneath it. But what they were calling a grave, God was calling soil. You can imitate a voice, but you cannot duplicate a spirit. You can wear a face, repeat words, mimic movements, and borrow fragments of another person. But identity is not clothing. Identity is woven into the soul. Identity is breathed by God before the world ever witnessed your first step. Stealing identity is one thing. Trying to become someone whose purpose you cannot even comprehend is another thing entirely. Because purpose is not performance, calling is not imitation, anointing is not costume. You can study a lion, watch how it walks, hear how it roars, and attempt to carry its presence, but the nature within remains different. Strength is not created through pretending. Power is not created through copying. The world can recognize borrowed light because borrowed light eventually fades. What God places within someone cannot be duplicated by force. And while enemies thought they were writing my ending, heaven was still writing my beginning. Every attack became training, every betrayal became wisdom, every wound became testimony, every tear watered the ground beneath my feet. The same place where they expected me to disappear became the place where I grew roots deeper than before. I do not need to chase people who misunderstand me. I do not need to prove myself to shadows. I do not need to fight to become what I already am. Because what God chooses, God sustains. Because what God chooses, God sustains. I'm not standing because life was easy. I'm standing because grace carried me. I'm standing because purpose pulled me forward. I'm standing because what lives I'm standing because what lives within me was never dependent on human approval. And now I understand they did not bury me, they planted me. And what God plants in truth will rise in its appointed season. They gathered dirt within their hands, believing they could hide my name, thinking darkness would consume my light and silence would erase my flame. They whispered shadows over truth, cast storms against my sky, convinced the weight upon my soul would teach my spirit how to die. But what they never understood, what heaven already knew, is soil does not destroy a seed, it gives it strength to break through. You may borrow another's language, you may imitate another's sound, but purpose is not a mask to wear, it is where eternity is found. Identity is not a garment, not a role that can be played. It is written deep within the soul by the hands that haven't made. You can study the lion's footsteps, watch how power seems to move, but strength is not in copying another truth, does not need something to prove. For borrowed light eventually fades, and echoes cannot become a voice. What God has placed within a soul was never made for a human choice. So I stand where they left me buried, not broken beneath the ground, but rooted deeper than before, where hidden strength was found. Because they thought they wrote my ending, they thought my story had been sealed, yet God was turning every wound into a testimony revealed. Now I rise through the dust and ashes, through every storm I traveled through, because what they called a grave for me was simply heaven's garden view. They did not bury me, they planted